Welcome everyone to today's video. Today we are on special animal number 3. I know it's been a while since we've done a special animal, but thank you for bearing with me. Today we are going to be talking a bird that loves to groove around. You've probably seen the video, it groove into the music, but why does it groove? Well, today you'll find out, because today we are going to be talking about the American Woodcock. American Woodcock, or scientific name Scolopax minor, part of the family Scolopacidae, or Pacidae, sorry. Again, that is Scolopax minor, part of the family Scolopacidae. Believe it or not, this is the family of sandpipers. Sandpipers are usually associated as shorebirds. Usually shorter body with a longer, thinner bill with long, skinny legs, which this one definitely has. Now, the American Woodcock has so many common names, it's kind of ridiculous, and quite frankly, they all sound like you're making fun of the bird. The American Woodcock is also known as the timberdoodle, the bog sucker, the hokum poke, the Labrador twister. I am not lying. Those are actual other names for the American Woodcock. It sounds like you're just constantly trying to make fun of this. It is found in the eastern half of North America, and in fact, it's the only species of woodcock inhabiting North America. It is primarily found in brushy young forest habitats. It is not found in, old growth forests, with big trees, a bunch of local litter. Think more of like a brushy plain with some trees popping up, starting to become a forest. As you can tell in the picture, it has a pretty plump body, as to be expected, since it spends most of its time on the ground. Has this large rounded head of it here. Pretty distinct looking like most of your sandpipers. Relatively short neck. This is not one that hides its neck in and can stretch it out. It's relatively short neck. Surprisingly, for its size, it does have a decent sized wingspan. The wingspan is around 18 inches, which is about 45 centimeters. That's especially kind of good when you consider that adults are 10 to 12 inches long, which that's about 25 to 30 centimeters. So basically almost 50% more wing bird. And they weigh about 5 to 8 ounces, so about 140 to 230 grams. Females are, as per usual in birds, much larger than males. Now, something that's really interesting about this bird is actually its bill, its beak. It is obviously long and straight, but it's actually prehensile, meaning that parts of it can move independently. You think like a monkey has a prehensile tail, or a chameleon has a prehensile tail to help them grip. Well, this beak actually does move. It's not just one solid piece. The bill is usually between 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches long, which that's about 6.5 to 7 meters long. And they use those bills to probe for food. You can see that the end is really dirty. And they have a really unique bone and muscle arrangement that lets the bird open and close the tip of its upper bill while it's in the ground. So they stick their bill in the ground, and it's straight when they stick it into the ground. And then if they think there's an earthworm there, what they'll do is they can open the end of the top part of the bill, which is really rough on the inside, and they have a tongue that they can stretch out and grab an earthworm to kind of pull it into their mouth. So it's really a unique adaptation to allow them to stick their bill in the ground and still be able to eat fairly well. Now, as you can tell, they have this mottled color for camouflage. Remember that these are primarily spending most of their time on the ground, so they kind of need to be camouflaged. And when they are in that young forest, they are pretty darn hard to find. As we talked about, they do have large eyes, but something that's actually pretty unique about these is their eyes are set over their ears. So their eyes are up here and their ears are actually down here. That allows them to really look for predators. In fact, the visual field is probably the largest of any bird, meaning, they can see probably more than any bird in the world. They can see 360 degrees on the horizontal plane and 180 degrees in the vertical plane. So they can see everything in the front and behind them. They can see basically straight up and straight down for their eyes. It's kind of insane. As we said, they eat mainly invertebrates. They are going to primarily eat earthworms. I think it's like 50 to 90% of their diet is earthworm. But something else that this is really known for by bird watchers is actually their breeding rituals. So in the spring, the males will actually occupy singing grounds, and they're individual singing grounds. And what they'll do is the male has a short, buzzy ground call. I go look up an American Woodcock sounds. It's really interesting. And then they have this short kind of buzzy sound. And then after they do a bunch of buzzing sounds, I have no idea. It's really hard to tell the difference between males and females because they don't really have any sort of sexual dimorphism, meaning the but we're gonna have we have other pictures. But so after they make a series of ground calls, the male actually takes off and flies about 50 to 100 yards in the air, which that's like basically 100 meters in the air. And then he starts descending, and he zigzags and banks. So he goes up, he circles up, and then he just zigzags and goes back, and he's still singing a kind of a chirping song. But what's interesting about this is if you notice kind of here, the feathers look a little different right on the ends of their wings. And that's actually pretty interesting in the fact because that spiraling flight actually produces sounds. There's a twittering sound. A lot of people think that the bird itself is making those sounds, but it makes a melodious twittering sound because the air is rushing past these modified wing feathers. So the wings are actually making the song, not the bird itself. I mean, the bird is obviously making it, but it happens when they go a certain speed and they start getting to a certain height. It's super interesting. So, and that's the males. The males will do that, and the females will be attracted to the males' displays. They may visit to a couple of different males, figure out what's going on, and if the female is interested, it will fly in and land on the ground near a male that's doing its display. The male will actually then land and then start courting the female by walking stiff-legged with his wings stretched vertically, just straight up, and then he'll start bobbing and bowing at the female, and the female's fully receptive, which may not be the first time. They will have a nest and lay some eggs. Their eggs are kind of a brown mottled color. Nice, Tavi. And then the eggs will incubate, I believe I read something like 20 days, maybe shorter, maybe 11 days. But they usually have just 4. And then, lo and behold, after that, bam, you get a baby chick. Sorry the picture is so blurry, but you have this baby chick. Huge feat for a chick. But the chicks stay with the mother for like a week, I believe is what I read. But the chicks will actually leave the nest after about 4 to 5 hours after hatching. They'll start going and looking for their own food after like 2 or 3 days. The female will feed them for 2 or 3 days, then stick around for like another 2 or 3 days, and then after about a week, the female is gone. So basically, they're on their own and pretty much independent, fully independent after a week of being old. But now for the interesting fact that we're gonna do. In fact, might be a misnomer because this is all just kind of thinking of it. This is a video from Wikipedia, and these sorts of videos are why people have seen this bird. They may not have known what it is, but this is why they may have seen this. Let's watch. That unique rocking motion, grooving to the music. See if we can get a long rock in there before I stop it. Up and notice it. There it goes. See that rocking? There we go. There's a good rock. There's a good rock. So, why does it do that rocking motion, that bobbing motion? Well, there's not really... it's not really known. And that's why I said that interesting fact might be a misnomer. But scientists are pretty sure that it's performing that rocking motion while standing because they're vibrating the ground with their front feet, because they're putting almost all of their pressure on that front foot. And they think that those vibrations from the foot actually cause the insects in the ground to move. Basically, how I liken it to is you know when you have a rainstorm and you go out after the rainstorm and you see earthworms have come up from the bottom of, up from the earth, those vibrations causing, issues, why earthworms come up, I'm not entirely sure. So basically, I liken it to the American woodcock is confusing the insects, making them think it rained in those vibrations and causing them to come up to the surface or start moving around, because these have extremely sensitive ears. They probably can sense vibrations pretty well. So what they probably are doing is they're sensing that earthworm or insect moving in the ground and then sticking their beak down to find it. And obviously, but thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. And yeah, just take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And